excellent length, a little bit of movement.
Yes, good afternoon, to all our listeners, those of you who regularly tune in to us on YouTube and Facebook, those of you who are in your vehicles on your way home, and those of you who are not in Trinidad and Tobago but are usually listening to us at your spaces in New York, London, wherever you are. Good afternoon, and good afternoon to those our producer, the owners and managers of this radio station, and all others who listen to us and who make this show on evenings their diet, especially on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. Good afternoon. This is the Third Umpire Show. You are, of course, listening to Stephen Matheson. Of course, I'll be joined by another umpire shortly, and we are certainly sorry for being so late this evening. It is not often that we could be on time, and it is not often that we could be here all the time. So, good afternoon, and as you know, this is the Third Umpire Show. What we do on the show is we analyze what is in the news, and we try to also encourage you, the pavilion, to join us and to tell us, where we are, where we may need further analysis on issues. You can certainly guide us or help us with that. So we usually look at what is in the news, and there are a lot in the news these days. Just continuing on from what is happening with within the PNM, we see that Brian Manning is maybe in some problems. He may be in some hot water because he have been told repeatedly not to air his, wash his dirty linen and air his dirty linens in public, and he seems to be going down that road. Sometimes people may feel that is the only way they could get certain things out. That's the only way they could get the party or the organization to do what they think it should do. And I don't know. That is Brian Manning's position, and he is doing that. Now, all political organizations do from time to time, so don't be gloating too much. If you're on the other side, all political organizations do have their issues from time to time, and so you may have what you might call a rogue who may just step out and in an effort to get things, in an effort sometimes to solve a problem or to solve a mischief or to something that is happening, may go outside because he feels that he isn't getting the kind of redress that he needs to get from inside. And maybe that is the case with Brian Manning. I don't know, but certainly that is something I would like to hear what the public have to say with respect to that, because I know we glossed over it a few days ago when we were last here, but that show was a little different show. We didn't really deal much with it, and on this occasion, on this episode, I would like to hear what the public have to say about that in particular, right? I know this show in particular, we have a lot of people who have political ambitions who would probably be listening in on the show, and you may not want to hear good or bad about one party or the other. So I don't know if you want to probably. I know we'll be pausing for a break just now, because of course we came on late, so we just have about 3 minutes again in this hour. But certainly on the next hour, the next half of the show, I'd want to hear what you have to say with respect to that. What I've noted also is the amount of young people, young girls, that are suddenly going missing. There was one somewhere in San Grande who have a 16-year-old, well, two 16-year-old. I've seen one from somewhere down south side and one in the east who have gone missing, one with a baby. We don't know if they're gone missing or if they're just, well, they're missing. But we don't know if they are adopted, if they have been adopted, or if they've run away, and we talk about that all the time. But that seems to be a problem that is coming up. And that is something that we have to find a way to deal with those things, or we have to find a solution for those kind of problems. Some may include family issues and that kind of thing. But yes, those are issues that are plaguing our society still. And one may say that that is not something you could stop just like that, but certainly it is something that is a problem. I want to also talk about the issue with the prison services. It is a question that was not a question that was raised, but it's an issue. I saw that the secretary of the Prison Service Association, Mr. Logie, would have raised the question of that underground economy that seems to be thriving in the prisons. And that is something maybe I would want us to pay, especially when we come back. I'd want us to, just go into it, because it is dangerous to the lives of prison officers. A lot of shots are being called. Prison officers, some of whom are doing it either by under duress or doing it because it is a lucrative business for them. But it is certainly something that is causing some deep concerns in the citizens, among the citizenry, and that too is something that we would want to talk about or go into in a little detail, because that may have some other issues that relates to governance and management and everything. But we go for a break, and when we come back, we will deal with those issues.
You've got bills to pay, and so do we. Let's go pay some bills on the street. 919 FM.
Peace of God be multiplied unto you in the precious name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. This is Redemption Hour, a gospel program where God will reveal His mind to you on how to live a fulfilled life and to please Him in all areas. Join Pastor Femi Afolabi, the National Overseer of Deeper Christian Life Ministry, Trinidad and Tobago, and other seasoned ministers for a time of divine encounter as they minister and pray for you every Saturday by 9 o'clock in the morning of this station, Street FM 91.9. Our church is Deeper Life Bible Church, number 1 Cochrane Street, opposite Tunapuna Police Station, Tunapuna. The times of our services are as follows: Sunday worship service, 9 a.m., Monday Bible study, 6 p.m., Thursday revival hour, 6 p.m. The Redemption Hour is a life-changing moment you cannot afford to miss. For special prayer or counseling, contact Pastor Femi Afolabi on 778-9933. God bless you as you listen to this program. Jesus is Lord.
KFC onion rings, bring the sauce, come to the crunch like a boss, Add a ring, show me onion ring, in the ring, show me your onion ring, it's a ring, yes, it's a brand new thing called onion ring. Level up your order, onion ring, chicken sandwich full of flavor, add a ring to your twister, somebody better go and tell the neighbor.
Show off your ring at KFC with the new onion ring chicken sandwich for $34.95, or get a regular side of rings for just $15.
Add a ring, in every ding, add a ring, KFC onion ring.
KFC, show me your ring.
Tech Flex
TechFlex TT Limited, the #1 computer store in Trinidad and Tobago, has all your tech needs. We have the latest computers, powerful MacBooks, and affordable Chromebooks for school and work, providing new and refurbished options to suit everyone's budget. Also, we carry a variety of printer options and ink solutions for your home and office needs. Need repairs done? Our experienced technicians can solve your tech problems. Visit us now at any of our 2 locations, Wilson Road, Scarborough, next to Royal Castle, or Penco Street, Montrose, Chagonas. Call 235-4919 for more info. TechFlex TT Limited. Affordable tech. Exceptional service.
Blessings in the wonderful name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. You are invited to listen to the Final Hour broadcast heard every Monday
from 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. in the morning on the Street 919 FM.
Hear my mom, Pastor Helen Garcia, and myself, Pastor Valentine Garcia Jr., preach the Word of God to the elderly, youth, and children. We can be contacted at 629-0113 or 623-8444. The church is located at 26 Prince Street in Port of Spain. We look forward to you joining us. God bless you.
As my life I lay it on the altar, as my life.
It's KFC in the cricket. Crunch up that crunch, crunch up that crunch, crunch up that crunch. Doing it the KFC way. Crunch up that crunch, crunch up that crunch, crunch up that crunch. TKR all the way. Passion inside the way. Bringing the energy. It's chicken for all the way. KFC got way. When we come out to play, nothing can bother way. Winning is part the way. TKR all the way.
Grab your maximum crunch bucket today with 6 pieces of chicken, 1 regular popcorn chicken, 4 regular sides for only $144.95. Crunch after crunch with KFC.
Share the live. Share the live. The Street 919 FM on Facebook and Instagram. Share the live. Iowa George on Instagram. Share the live. Iowa TV and Street TV on YouTube. Share the live. The Street 919 FM.
Yes, I'm back, and this is the Third Umpire Show. So it is said that a lot of the inmates, those who are charged with crimes and are on remand, many of them come in the prisons. So they come in the prisons with addictions, and those addictions sometimes need to be fed. How that is done is that there is, and this is the Secretary of the Prison Service Association speaking here. He is saying that to a large extent that there is, and this is not something we've heard, we now hearing. We hear this all the time, but we now going into the nuts and bolts of it and how it happens. So this addiction has to be fed. So certainly there is a demand, huge demand. And where there is a demand, a supply, you'll have to have a supply. And the scarcity will depend on how difficult it would be to supply that which is needed, the demand. So what is happening is that, according to the article, that some prison officers are paid, are sometimes given the value of up to $50,000 on their phone card, in phone cards and phone, to be able to manage that trade. And more so, some of them are even given vehicles and that kind of thing. So how they leverage that, how they use that money on the phone card. Sometimes they can sell the cards back for money, and but at the end of the day, they are able to bring into the prisons the contraband. And this is not something that that is not This is not airy-fairy. This happens. This actually happens. You ask any person who have been in prison for a while, they'll tell you that a cell phone is a very important thing. A cigarette is a very expensive thing. Marijuana is even more expensive. And all these things are traded inside the prisons with the assistance of persons who we pay on a monthly basis to manage the prison service and to manage the prison service, and this is prisoners, prison officers who do these things. This could be dangerous. It could be dangerous to both other prison officers or the system, people outside, because certain times from that $50,000 people are being paid to carry messages, to call shots, to kill people and that kind of thing. So not because a certain person might be in prison that he can't call a shot for you to unalive you. These things happen, and there are ample evidence of it, and it is something that the society, not just the society, but the authorities have to deal with it. Some would say this is a product of overcrowded prisons. I know they are trying to deal with that in some very significant ways, but I don't think that can't be the reason why that is happening. We have to find ways, or that is the system, have to find ways to deal with managing the prison service without and removing all these kind of loopholes to be able to do these things. And for whatever reason, this continues to happen, and it continues to be a very volatile, very dangerous situation in the prisons. And as I say, not just for prison officers, but for other persons, or sometimes persons who may maniad. We've heard about the proposed new prisons, all kind of proposals to arrest the situation, but to date, we still have this appearing as a critical issue. And certainly, it will be interesting to hear what you, the public, have to say about this particular issue, because this is not necessarily going away very easily, and it's not necessarily going away just because they say they wanted to go away. They have to actively do some things, and I think we might be thinking is easy to do. I'd like to hear what they have to say. I'd like to hear what you have to say. But you can call me on 342-0081 or 466-5391. Let us discuss this issue about this underground economy in the prisons, in the prison population. If you have people with addiction, for me time, Logie would have said that. I would say, well, if people coming in there with addiction, I would think that they have psychiatrists, they have remedial systems to be able to deal with people who have addiction. Because if you have addiction and you're in prison for a period of time, then there must be some kind of system where you can get that kind of help to deal with that. Because if you come back out to that, you would be back in shortly, because you would still have the same kind of problem, and you would want to that demand that is in prison will continue outside, and then of course, if there's a demand for drugs, then there would also be, as we know, drugs don't come by itself in Trinidad and Tobago. It's come with guns and all the other bad things with it. So there will always be that demand for that, even if you go in prison and you go in prison for something serious and you come back out, right? So to say that addiction is one of the cause of it, I think if you've identified that, then there's a solution for that. overcrowding. We hear that overcrowding might, if you have people with a serious addiction, it's not being dealt with, and then you have a lot of them inside there, and you have a higher demand with scarcity in supply. The price of these things will go up astronomically, and then therefore people will do whatever they have to do, including killing people and that kind of thing. They get the funds to be able to feed that addiction. I'm just saying, I just looking at the domino effect of all of this, and this is serious to the point that people are dying. Prison officers are certainly, some of them are doing it for fear of turning a blind eye for it, for fear of their own safety. Some of them are doing it to make money because they think that they could make money. Some have gotten caught in the past and are doing time. They themselves have become prisoners. They are on the other side, and all these things are very, very, very critical issues that we have to deal with as a society. I would like to hear, I don't know how many of you listening might have been inside there and know what's going on, but I'd like to hear what the solution to this might be, because if you've lived it, if you've been in there and you understand what goes on, you might be able to tell us what could be done to solve the problem. So call me on 342-0081 or 466-5391. Let's discuss this issue, because this is something that is a problem, right? That thriving underground economy to supply drugs and other contraband in the prisons, and how easy it is facilitated, because Logie did say that it is facilitated by police or by prison officers. I can't see it being facilitated by anybody else, because prison officers are the only ones who, or workers in the prison system are the only ones who are interacting or communicating in that kind of way with the prisoners. So it has to be facilitated through that medium. But if there are another medium that it is facilitated through, maybe I'd like to hear what you have to say in the pavilion, because as I said before, this is an issue and it is not going away, and it creates other things in the system. So I'd like to hear what you have to say with regards to this particular issue. And before the break, I was also talking about the amount of persons that seems to be going missing, young ladies. There are two in particular, one with a child, a 11-month-old baby, who has gone missing, a 16-year-old with a 11-month-old baby who has gone missing. And I don't know if anybody knows where she is, or if it is that she was abducted, she and the baby. Then if anyone has that kind of information, certainly you would want to call the relevant authority and let them know what is happening, because that too is very serious, and that needs a particular kind of addressing. And so call me on 342-0081 or 466-5391. Let's discuss that. Earlier on, I was talking about the situation with
Interesting ask there from Burlington,
Mr. Manning,
and not going on to hit.
The quagmire he seems to be finding. He will be finding himself and with the PNM, because I do know that the PNM has a system where they will discipline you through the General Council, and I'm wondering what would have caused, I would say, a senior politician, the son of a former Prime Minister to do what he is doing now to the PNM. I don't know what would have caused that. I think he would know better. And I'm not saying that what he's doing is wrong, because I mean sometimes things happen and you need to speak out. And sometimes if the medium in which you do it, or if the authority for which you speak isn't taking you on, sometimes they may look for other medium to air a problem, and that's what he's doing. But there certainly is an issue. His whole executive, as a matter of fact, San Fernando East would have resigned, and he has a lot to say. And in saying so, it is doing some severe damage to the PNM. And the PNM, of course, is the bowling side here. And I don't know, what do you think about what the political leader, that is the political leader of the PNM, is saying or doing about this situation? Because I think she has a responsibility also. And this is something that that will undoubtedly affect the party, the PNM. So I would like to hear what you have to say about that also, because that too have some... The opposition is also part of the governance of the country. And although they are in opposition, they play a role in legislation and everything. And so it is relevant for us to talk about this also. Because when on this program, when I talk about moral authority, and when I talk about people having the moral authority to speak, sometimes it is critical that you understand that things like these, things like exposes and that kind of thing, affects your moral authority. So let me take one call on this. Good afternoon, caller. Vivian. Hey, Vivian, what's happening?
Hey, how you
hearing me?
I'm hearing you clearly.
Hello?
Yeah, you hear me?
Vivian?
Yes. All right. Yes. So, firstly, the 16-year-old girl with the baby, as far as I know, she was found. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
As far as I know, she was found. So that is like some boyfriend up in the east. Let's talk about Manning. Now, Manning tried to air his grievances with the PNM, and no one seemed to be taking him on. So I think what he did is the second best thing, and it came out into the public domain. Now, the reason why the PNM would have lost the last election was because no one had faith in the PNM. And the corruption and all the different things, family dealings and so forth. So I think this is a good way for the PNM to start cleaning their house and prepping for the next election. I am firmly behind Mr. Manning, and I'm firmly behind Mrs. Hazel Manning for standing and supporting him and saying she's going to throw her hat in the ring. Because I think Hazel has always proven to be a steady leader, you know. So let me see how it goes, because I hear all of them talk.
Leader of the PNM, or
in the
is it that she's throwing her hat in the ring to be the leader of the PNM?
No. To be the chairman for the constituency down south, San Fernando West or East, whatever it is.
Right.
All right, because you know that's where their main support group was over the last 40-something years. All right, so and from all what I'm reading, everybody seems to be supporting Hazel. I haven't heard any negative comments, serious negative comments against Hazel running. You know? So I think that would be a nice way for the PNM to start.
But Vivian, what do you think about the situation with the prisons and the contraband, the underground economy in the prisons?
Listen,
I'd like to hear what you have to say. I know you have a lot to say about these things most times.
No, I all I can say is that Trinidad is too backward. You can't blame prisoners. They want to talk to their family. They don't want to talk to this one. You have to sneak in cell phones. You have to sneak in chargers. You have to sneak in batteries. Prisoners have to smoke. They're under stress. Who under more stress than anybody else? You must have these things available in the prisons some way for the prisoners to, I mean, they're not outside, they're locked up. But if you don't have access to your friends and family, when you come out of jail, where you going to go after?
Well, what kind of stress you could be under if you're locked up and you have nothing to do?
I mean, what kind of stress? You stay in your house, Madison, for the next 6 years and see what happens. Ask Mrs. Sabga how hard it is to live in Regent's Tower. In her nice apartment, air conditioned, nice bed, nice chair, and you can't leave. So you can imagine what's going on in the prisons. You understand? The government has to find a way. It could be a money-making way, but yeah, I mean, payphones outdated. But you have to find a way that prisoners could make their calls, right, to the family, and you monitor it. But no, you still have people throwing things over the wall in the jail and all of that. No, it can't work. You know, but then maybe that's how they want the system. But if I pack a cigarette in jail costing you $300 or whatever the case, I don't know. It's a money making thing.
And that's the motivation. I mean, if I'm not saying that it's just wrong for prison officers to be part of that whole thing, but think about it. Where there's a high demand and a scarcity, you would have high prices. So you could understand why a pack of cigarettes is so expensive.
Mm-hmm. You know, and people, you see that people who live in their own little world, eh? But if you're a smoker, that smoke is a must. You will pay anything for that one smoke. You know? And even though you're locked up, you're there the prison there to rehabilitate you, not to make you worse. You talking about that drug addict going there. The only way he gonna stop drugs is because it had no drug sympathy. Nobody helping him other than that. Look how long it takes to get a doctor. You know? You feel it taking up pipe off the road and sending a psychiatrist or a drug addict to help them? No. You want to live. Anyway, I hear your phone beeping. Take the next call.
Yeah, all right. Let me just take this call.
All right.
Good evening, caller. KFC.
Good afternoon, Mr. Marcus.
You a man who was in prison. Tell us what
you have You umpire a wrong game yesterday, boy. We get bad licks, boy. Oh, God. First game.
Boy.
I hope that would that James come up for them. I was talking about Brian Manning.
Mm-hmm.
If the PNM dead, then they're ready to put the confidence in it right
I didn't
now.
ask if the PNM dead.
But
I said that. You know, I didn't ask that.
But I telling you that.
Okay.
I know you're not asking that. You quoting a different way, quoting a different way. I'm not trying to be politically correct. I talking and for the ground. Like so Roger Alexander Stock, the command to him. You see, no can't think about Alexander, he this and he that, he done, say that. And now they can't put a foot in his shoes. So far you reach from police to parliamentary. But PNM business, I out of that because them just put allegation on the both side and the other day, no politician getting arrested who keep him for the cookie job for donkey years. Only one man I see, the lockup was Sabazio pandemic, so rest in peace. Them rest of politicians and they're not getting locked up with that allegation, man, and have cover the evidence. So I live in PNM business. I deal with my business. So I ain't talking about the prison.
Mm-hmm. Right. I know you know about that.
Well, like that man parachute the prison system, right? Cigarette in prison right now is $500 a pack.
Why?
For the government to make our money, they feel that they sell cigarette in the canteen.
Okay. But then that would not
be trafficking cigarettes and lost in the job and all them kind of things.
Yeah, but would not be an irresponsible thing to do though, because you could burn down your cell. You could, unless you're smoking and there's a zone to do that, and people outside to do that at some point in time.
And the men and money condemn them to smoke cigarette when they come out in here and they smoke you smoke a cigarette. You smoking a cigarette in the cell. When you come out for hearing, you get a cigarette, you eat some frustration, when you put it back in the cell.
So you're saying the men and condemn, they are allowed to smoke cigarette?
Yeah. Remember them, they're waiting for them to call for them to get a neck break anytime, you know, so they have to smoke. That means them family buy all cartons of cigarette for them in the canteen there.
Oh, but the thing is, they could smoke in perpetuality because nobody are getting a neck break anyway.
True. But after 5 years, I didn't get a neck break. You have three hearing to the England court and if you think they lost your appeal, I think it might be a lifetime. It would be a lifetime now.
Right, but what I'm saying...
So I just say the government could look into that because right now, cigarette expensive in jail because remember, it have no court, it have no John DeVolta going up there, packing the back to carry cigarette up there and do that thing and packing the back and thing, you know. So the majority of the cigarette and the cell phones and everything coming in the prison is dead prison officers. The first time I went in jail, Mackerson, it's 5 pounds away that I see, you know. That's a real pound, you know. Prison officer, I have to tell the jail is locked down, police officers walking, prison officers walking up on the corridor, and that's bringing things for men and dropping it off.
Just rewind a little bit.
So trafficking can never stop in prison?
Just rewind a little bit. You say something about John Travolta. What was that? Who's that John Travolta? What do you mean by that?
The truck. So come here by the courthouse and clear up in the prison.
Oh.
And certain rogue officers who they taking the gear, they thinking you have to pack it, and bring it up.
Oh, so you are how you packing it and bringing it up?
Not me. I don't need people back. But I bring up my thing up in the prison when they're coming up there. Okay. I pack for you and I pack for me. Okay. So Marcus State prison is not a nice place. That's where that person talk. I go by crowd program.
Today is one day I thought you might have been able to help me, boy. Normally you just call and you have your own issues and things, but today we talking about an underground economy in the prisons. And I know you as a man, I said we talking about an underground economy in the prison service, in the prisons. And you might be a good
but
man
the prison is underground. Hey, Marcusson, the prison have money like sand, you know. The time men paying lawyers in jail, men building big house, or build 5 and 6 car on the road.
Yeah, because the Logie said in the report that, you know, it have prison officers who cars are being bought for them, who getting $50,000 on a phone, and they could leverage that for real money outside.
But prison officers have shop out there. When you get visit, prisoners give them high ranking. Prisoners look at 2 pack of cigarettes, about milk, soap, all the toiletries, everything. They undercover calling me, you know, they have money like sand, you know. You know what money just come, you know, $500 for a pack of cigarette. 1 cigarette is $100, you know.
Yeah, no figuring it out. So, right.
So,
right, I know.
So now them prison officers take their like chance and thing and they are bringing the thing too. That's a young lady, another prison officer, woman, and she will get caught up. Recently, then. Yeah, that's about the news thing. But the authorities can look into that and say that they have get in the prison, man.
This is unfortunate, but certainly we are seeing some of the reasons why this would happen. And you would have spoke about addiction. Addiction might, to me, that is, if you have people who are addicted coming in the prisons, I am thinking that you can certainly do other things to rehabilitate those persons rather than have them spend $100 for a cigarette. And, you know, when you don't smoke that, you're still addicted. But, you know, call us. I would like to hear what you have to say. 342-0081 and 466-5391. Certainly, we have a problem. And it will be interesting to hear what are the solutions to this problem in particular. Yes, so ladies and gentlemen, call me. I'm really waiting to hear. Today is one day that I think that I would need your help to solve this problem, because it is important that we look at the prison services and we look at what is happening. Good evening, caller.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Martin. Mr. Martin, like everything else in this society, the question of reform, prison reform, and when we talk about reform, we think in terms of accommodation, we think in terms of those professional psychologists. We look at the question of parole. We look at case management within the prison system. We're talking about improving the conditions within the prison and all these things. And the prison, when we talk about reform, we're talking about reform not just in the prison. The country seems to be in a malaise where even the police, you need reform, right? Well, I ain't going there. But the point about it is this: is that you have problems throughout these services, and the fact is, over the years, we never made the kind of incremental reform or changes to the system. They still operate under 1838 Prison Service Act. The question of recruitment of prison officers, who you recruit, what and who really would want to work in the prison given the conditions. So it's no wonder that these things, because again, we haven't kept pace with the changes in the society. So we suffer the consequences. We see it in the police and we've seen it in the prison. And that is because we didn't do anything over the years You had certain commission of inquiry. I think you had the Abdullah report. You had Simonga report in the 70s, I think, and in the 80s, well, 70s. You had all these reports. But to what extent there were reforms?
But Kola, you know, I like to talk solutions. Today, I don't really have an active solution to this problem. But this is a problem because it endangers lives inside and outside of the prisons. To have a contraband, a trade like this going on, where, as you heard what KFC said, a pack of cigarettes is $500 and more. How do you, I mean, people will pay money for that, and certainly prison officers are motivated to take the risk to bring in cigarettes and, you know, that kind of thing. How do you, I mean, what do you suggest the state could do to solve this problem? Because you heard what Logie said. Logie said that you have a lot of prisoners coming in with addiction, and therefore that is the demand. That fuels the demand. And then, of course, because it is difficult to get it in and risky to get it in, the supply, the cost of it will be high because you will have a certain degree of scarcity. Basic economics. But what could we do to solve this problem? If people are coming in with addiction, then is it not normal to say, well, maybe we should have some kind of program where we get people off the drugs or off the system in the prisons and that kind of thing before we reach to the stage?
Well, the thing about it is that if you have, well, notwithstanding those things, you may have a doctor in there. You may have social workers there. I think they call them prison welfare officers. Mm-hmm. You have, you should have a psychologist there, and it means that you can make referrals. And because normally what you would do when people come in terms of an intake, you would try to get information from them get a profile, do an assessment of you know the history of what they've been engaged in, and then you may make referrals. But again, this is what I'm talking about, case management. So the question you do assessment, and you do assessment with respect to risk, and you may do an assessment with respect to treatment. So when you do that assessment, you know what the person, they come from outside, they've been involved in drugs, you know that they were sleeping rough on the street, you may know that. You may know that they question the educational levels that they may have reached. So if you have school, let's say vocational training, you have educational facilities in terms to assist them to develop their literacy skills and that kind of thing, advance themselves with respect to probably academic, O-level, A-level, and even going on to degrees. So you have to do that kind of assessment, risk assessment, assessment for treatment, and that kind of thing. These are normal things that happens within prison, in Jamaica, in England, because our system, in fact, we inherited that system from Britain, we have adapted it. So that is how it is done. But I'm saying that the question of accommodation, I don't know to what extent they would have had the specialists, the professionals in terms of psychologists and even psychiatrists and whatnot to deal with those people and to deal with their problems.
Yeah, and that is, I don't know if we invest in that kind of human resource in the prisons to be able to manage situations like these, but certainly those things are needed. We need to go there also, because when somebody do commit a crime and they go in prison, you want them to come out with a certain amount of rehabilitation.
Well,
and that will augur well for the society. I mean, you will have less revisitism. You would have probably less people going out and coming back out and committing crime, the same kind of crime, and that kind of thing. So certainly, we had a police officer on the program, a former police officer on the program sometime, and he spoke about when he himself was shot by a particular man and how many times the man went in and come back out before he ended up killing an ex-officer.
Well, when you send people to prison, some people say you send people for punishment. Some people say you send them for rehabilitation or reform and that kind of thing. And but the thing about it is that you must have the facilities or to help those people in terms of reintegration into society. So you provide them with the kind of care, the kind of skill, as I said, vocational training, probably masonry. Some of them, I think there was something in somewhere in St. James with respect to art, and where they do this training and they develop those skills and whatnot. And you have a range of, but I'm saying that we haven't been that advanced in terms of how we deal with the whole question of rehabilitation. And you want to look at the accommodation. Most of these facilities are age-old facilities. Logie would have told you some time ago about people using pail and all that kind of thing. Slopping, people using pail, they don't have no toilet and that kind of thing. So you have how many people in a cell? Yeah. How could you really truly rehabilitate people according to Logie, where you have so many people in one cell, where you have people who there's no toilet facility there within the cell, so on the night you have to use a pail and all that all these things, and it's archaic. And that is why I'm talking about reformation. And something that if you had dealt with these things over the years, and you don't have the money now to deal with that, and these things are costly things. So that is the quagmire that we find ourselves in. Because even if I want to look again to the police, you don't have the money today to deal with that.
You see, my solution to all of this, my solution to all of this, I was waiting for you to say certain thing, but my solution to all of this is to privatize the prison system.
Well, if you privatize the prison system, especially in Trinidad here, there may be some advantages in terms of privatization, and there may be some disadvantages, the argument for and argument against. And I remember sometime in the 90s or the 80s, Antigua had privatized their prison, and that was a total mess, right? They had to quickly revert to the state management of the prison. So some people talk about, especially in Trinidad, you privatize that prison and it may be worse.
Well, that is if you privatize it without certain KPIs and certain with the objective. Because if you privatize the prison service, and it's not like you're going to pay them, but you have to find ways to make money out of prisoners. And if you have prisoners and you could guarantee us a certain integrity in the system that prisoners will be prisoners, and of course you could etch out from their situation, either agriculture or whatever, to be able to feed the nation or to be able to feed bring about some kind of relief to the people who you might have distressed from coming into prison and that kind of thing. All of that, there are systems in the world like that. And
but you see what is happening in America in Texas and those places, they tell you about those private prisons and the disaster they are.
Well, the disaster with those prisons would relate to prosecutors and things corruptly sending innocent people to prison to,
apart from that, apart from that, when a man run a prison, his primary concern is profit. So he really, in terms of providing people with the necessary and, probably in terms of you talking about the skill, the rehabilitation programs and all that kind of thing. It may not be of the best quality, because again, he is operating on the profit margin. The other thing about it, when you put people in prison, when you have political prisoners and all that kind of thing, and you put them in private prisons, think about the implication there. Political prisoners, and you have people, millionaires and whatnot, and you have people, for example, you have a situation where people with privilege in the society, those people with wealth and whatnot, what are the possibilities? When you look for them, you give them 10 years, and when you look for them, there's somewhere in Russia, somewhere in the Kremlin.
Well, they might be the more easier prisoners to deal with. So what you might want to do, you might want to maintain a system specifically for those kind of prisoners, and the other prisoners you put in the system where you can make a huge amount of money from them.
Well, I am because I don't know whether I always tend to go towards England because of, we seem to be aligned to their system. We inherited that. We have adapted it to some extent to our own system here. And then we look at the Canadian model and that. And I don't think that they are really interested in private prisons because of the disadvantages, right? And the problems and the challenges that they present.
Because for a prisoner, a person who go in prison to have done something that was so egregious to the citizenry, and then we put you in prison and we spending in excess of $21,000 every month to take care of you. I want somebody to make that make sense.
Yeah, but the thing about it is this: if you develop a very efficient system, an effective system, right? You have little problems, The fact remains is that you run in a prison, a state prison, and you run it well. You have a well trained staff. You have all the resources there, right? And it's efficient and it's effective. What? I think in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, despite the archaic conditions which exist, I think they ran a good prison system, right? In fact, times have changed, and as I said, you don't have the question of drugs and all these things won't prevalent in those times. But we're seeing it's a malaise within the society. It's affecting the police service, as I said. It's affecting the prison service. It's affecting almost every facet of life in Trinidad. So you just don't look. We just can't say, well, look, it's prison officers, and they as Rogi would have said, they are gambling, they're living above the means, but you have police officers who are alleged to be doing the same thing.
Correct. So that's what makes it an underground economy, because you have you have a lot of different people who are involved in it, and sometimes knowingly or unknowingly, but it is creating a problem. And I'm saying, yes. Why am I really believe that maybe we should sit down and work this thing out and find a way to privatize the system, right? Not necessarily with the same masters that we had before, but even if you're giving them that kind of system, the state mustn't have to pay for it. You must be paying the state, as a matter of fact.
Well, I mean, that's a way of probably, you have advanced a way possible way of dealing with it. And there are people who want to not support it. And there are other ways in which, or probably the present approach, but just improving on the way they do things there, the efficiency, effectiveness, getting the right human resources that you need, and psychiatrists, psychologists doing proper case management and all that kind of thing to facilitate reintegration. But you see, if you talk about reintegration and rehabilitation, you cannot have effective rehabilitation if people can't get work.
Well, the thing is,
if when they leave the prison, they have nowhere to go, or they're going back in the same community where they came from, they're going back in those depressed communities, they're going back in the area where these gangs and all these, so you're not doing anything. So I'm saying that you're between a rock and a hard place.
Listen,
but something has to be done.
I feel I could make a real good, if I write a paper, I could make a real good case for privatizing prisons. Give me some land in the mountain somewhere. Give me or if I am the investor, let me invest in that. And let me build a prison system where I will take all the prisoners the state want to give me. And I will feed the nation.
Well, sometimes you see when you talk about when you have prisoners and that kind of thing, some people may believe that you have prisoners and you could get prisoners, you could go on the mountain and deal with prisoners and all that kind of thing. When you put people, you just don't take prisoners and put them on truck and put them in to work on the outside, you know, because you may go back to the prison with nobody. So I'm saying it's not every when these people are going to put prisoners to work outside, these people are properly screened. These people, they look at the sentence and all that kind of thing. They look at the number of things that they take into consideration.
I don't know.
Just take people and put them out there to work.
Caller, I don't know. I probably just watch too much TV. But you see a lot of private prisons. And you see, I mean, you could just look at the model, look at what they do and that kind of thing. And I think we will get more for that. We will certainly will be spending $21,000 for every prisoner every month. We would have better prison conditions, and they may not necessarily be feeding nation. And I'm not just talking agriculture, but talking industries, big industries. Build something big in Toronto and let have prisoners working in it, doing it, and they will have something for when they come out. They will get rehabilitation. They would learn something. They'll be able to work, let's say, in there for 20 years or whatever. Of course, get them more time.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is this: you need right now to get a task force, a commission, to look into the prison system and look in terms of making it more efficient, more effective, and more productive, and more user-friendly, and to the extent that it would benefit the population, the society as a whole. So you need some sort of inquiry into the prison system.
Yeah, because right now right now you have people committing crime, going into in remand. You have nothing to do. You're just inside there. You can't drop a soap because you know you're going to get raped or something. It's all kind of listen, it has all a multiplicity of problems inside there.
You're innocent.
Well, innocent until proven guilty. But what I'm saying is, at least has something productive for me to do. And you mean what?
Yeah, but you see, the thing about it is that you have to design a system. The prison, this is not how they operate in Canada and those places. The fact I'm saying that we seem to be all over the place. And I draw the reference with respect to even the police service, all over the place. And one may even talk in terms of the health sector. People have problems, similar problems. Things have just deteriorated over the years. So I'm saying, yes, you talk about privatization because probably you see where there's a crisis, and you're eager, with your anxiety, you're anxious to get things working. But it don't happen overnight, and you have to think it through. And if in fact, when you had the Simongal report and the Abdullah report, if they had implemented those recommendations, and then as time evolved, you look at it, because that's how Britain and Canada and those people look at it. You just don't talk about, you come up with a commission of inquiry and you have recommendations and you implement it. And then 40 years after, no, after 10 years, after 8 years, they keep reviewing it to see what is working and what is not working, where changes are necessary and all that kind of thing. Keeping abreast with the times, changes, the technology, people using all kind of, this is drones and all that. People using the question about those people who are able to make calls within the prison because of the change in technology and all that kind of thing. You have to be on top of it, and we haven't done that. So we're very backward as far as I am concerned, and you need to look at that. So it's not an easy task, and this government has, as I said, I don't envy them, because over the years, many years, there haven't been any real serious attempt to reform the prison system. And even the police, again, you have the hospital in a mess. You have nurses working as somebody said, on a month contract, month to month, and all that nonsense. That doesn't help the provision of care within those institutions. So everything is a general malaise. Okay. But we have to, whoever in charge we have to make the effort to improve, the way things are done at those institutions.
Okay, caller. So we're going for a break, and when we come back, we will certainly want to continue with this conversation. We have with us another umpire, Mr. Jared Llanos, who is with us, and you'll hear a lot from him on this particular issue when we return.
All right, man.
Yeah, thank you.
You've got bills to pay, and so do we. Let's go pay some bills on the street 919 FM.
Mommy, your dream came true. I gonna walk down the aisle.
Finally, show me a ring.
Up the plane.
What?
With KFC and Copa Airlines down the aisle promotion.
Well, take me on the trip now.
Win an all-expenses paid trip for two to one of 5 Copa Airline destinations with KFC. To enter, you can either buy an onion ring sandwich and upload the receipt, or upload a cool pic of you enjoying your onion rings with the hashtag #ShowMeARing. 2 winners will be selected, and weekly KFC vouchers are up for grabs too. See social media for details. Promotion ends September 6th and is approved by the NLCB.
Join us.
Strictly local radio show, blazing the best positive hits out of TT.
Hottest radio show.
Welcome. You are now locked in.
Every Saturday, 6 to 8 p.m., blazing the very best in Trinbago music and more, sending the heartbeat of the Twin Islands straight to the world.
This service is a massive communication product that aims to provide a new media platform for local TT entrepreneurs.
You're now locked into one of the hottest radio shows.
Send us your voice notes or call in live and rep your district. Whether you're in East, West, North, South, or Sweet Tobago, this is your show, your sound, your culture.
Hottest radio show.
Strictly local, hosted by the one and only DJ Flex 868. Don't miss it. Every Saturday, 6 to 8 p.m. Only on the streets 91.9 FM. The vibes, the culture, the sound of Trinbago.
We blaze all the best in TT. Hashtag rep your district.
Hi there, I'm Lester Suglal, inviting you to join me on the first, second, and third Saturday, 8:30 p.m. to 11 p.m. for the program Slow Gospel Music, and on the fourth and fifth Saturday from 8:30 p.m. for an extended version of Slow Gospel Music on Street 91.9 FM.
Nothing can bother way. Winning is part away.
Share the live. The Street 919 FM on Facebook and Instagram. Share the live. Iowa George on Instagram. Share the live. Iowa TV and Street TV on YouTube. Share the live. The Street 919 FM.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, listeners, we are back. This is the Third Umpire Show, and I am joined by one of our umpires, Mr. Gerard Janus, who is with us here today and who listened in on the discussion just before the break, and he too has some suggestions, and maybe we could discuss this in a more dispassionate way. We read we read the article in the Trinidad Express. We heard what the secretary of the Prison Service Association had to say about the fact that the prisons are overcrowded, and the overcrowding might be one of the things that are causing one of the catalysts that that has brought about this particular dilemma, that underground economy, prisons officers who are being paid, vehicles are being purchased for, in some cases, prison officers who sometimes get up to $50,000 on phone cards and phone to be able to traverse the street in prisons, and a pack of cigarette being like $500 and that kind of thing. A cigarette sometimes $50, $100 to get a cigarette, or you could drop the soap and you'll get two free, right? All those things are things that we need to deal with. But when people go in prison, you commit crime and you go in prison, to some extent, to a large extent, I think you're going there to be rehabilitated. And you're certainly not going to be rehabilitated in conditions like this, right? Especially if you are on remand and you're on remand for an inordinate length of time, and with all these kind of issues, you will have some problems. Just before we went for the break, my suggestion with the caller, Mr. West, was that maybe we should privatize prisons. What are your take on that, Mr. Janus?
So, even before I drill into my perspective, which I think will be perspective less traveled, I would say I wholeheartedly agree with the privatization of prisons. Because the financing and the staffing of anything that's different from what we have now. It will be difficult to raise the capital, and it will be difficult to execute the organizational change with our particular civil service, our particular industrial relations climate, because this transformation is going to be a transformation that will have to be effected by the same people who are jaded by the system that they've been trapped in for however long. We have both prison officers, National Security Ministry or Homeland Security Ministry,
police officers.
Well, you have police officers, you have a whole lot of people trapped in the same system together. Different players in the same game, and the game is broken. So definitely I am a great supporter of privatization in whatever form it takes. And I think that there are some ways that we can benefit from a privatization exercise. But let me go back to now the bedrock of what I believe our problem is. Our problem is political. And our problem is political stems from a belief among our population, a well-held belief, that prisoners are there to be punished. And any move to go towards restorative justice as opposed to retributive justice will be met by serious opposition by the man on the ground. It's an issue that a government could lose an election over very easily.
So what about the man who committed a very, very egregious crime against humanity, against people, against families and that kind of thing? You think there should be no retribution?
So this is my position on it. We could take a choice as a country. Either not one of our citizens is beyond redemption, or if it is that you do something wrong, we will punish you as much as we can for as long as we can.
Which is what happened right now.
So if we change the thinking, our approach as a citizenry to the incarcerated person, all sorts of things become possible when how people feel about how people are treated changes. And let me give you like where I would go with it. In the first instance, I believe we should have a 3-tier prison system. With the understanding that there are some people who are too dangerous to not be controlled. Another set of people for whom, okay, we had to put them in jail, but the experience is different. And then another tier where we don't want you in the system at all. We will find other ways to treat with your bad behavior and make sure that you move to another place in life. Allow me. El Salvador has taught us how to crush gangs. It's terribly unconstitutional, but the bottom line is the hardest stone cold killers, of which El Salvador had the most sad set of people. All of them in prison not making a note. Because the prison experience was designed to totally neuter their ability to wage war on the public. The worst gangsters have been brought completely to heel in El Salvador. And I will go to the ultimate example of Supermax or Ultramax prisons in the US. Whether you want to talk about ADX Florence or any one of those exceptionally tough prisons, you can make a note. You will see the sun far above. You will see the sun in years. Locked down 23 hours a day in a cell by yourself. So the most dangerous people in the world fear ADX. Because when you're inside there, you're completely locked off. You have no ability to affect anything in the real world. And I believe for certain criminals within our system, a completely segregated, completely controlled prison experience is necessary.
But that's what we have in Trinidad and
It's
Tobago.
not. It's not.
We have people locked down.
Yeah.
But these people live in and they had to live. So somebody had to feed them. Somebody had to do all the things that you had to have prison officers.
Correct.
And if you have correctional facilities officers, they are in this article that we're dealing with here. They are the ones that are blamed for the problem.
We're going to deal with them just so.
So
we're going to deal with them
saying
just
that why that is not happening in El Salvador?
What they did in El Salvador is they put everybody that they deem a gang risk in the same highly restricted prison experience. Lights always on, mask always on. You're going from here to there, they handcuff your ankle to your wrist. Everybody up in the same thing, everybody wearing the same clothes. Don't talk. Don't get no trouble, whatever the case is. They brought them so restricted and so controlled, it may be considered inhumane. I think it is inhumane. But El Salvador's murder problem and gang problem went away. Anybody who didn't catch in a scramble has found productive use for their time.
Right, so
I'd
really like to hear what the public had to say about this, because to me,
yes,
you know, I like solutions.
Yes.
And we have to find a way to deal with these kind of problems, because to me we're spending too much money. And one, we're not getting rehabilitation, and two, we're having more problems.
We can't. But again, allow me. So the top of the spares, the top of the totem pole is you're a contract killer, you're a big gang, you're 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You too dangerous. So we segregate you. Either we hit the Alcatraz finish or the ADX finish, or we hit the El Salvador finish. It has some dread prisons in Iran. It has some dread prisons in Iraq. There are case studies on how, no matter how dangerous and rich it is,
we could break it.
We could break it. And that should be the prison within the prison that people fear. Because if you become too dangerous, or we have to deem it that level of risk, we'll deal with you. And we have no fear of that, and we know how to do it. You know, going through that right now, the gentleman who will remain unnamed, who is now locked up in Tetron, can make a note. And they know why they do it. Many arguments will be made, etc., for and against, but the bottom line is the gentleman, under military supervision, is effectively neutered from whatever ability he had to affect things on the outside. Just as a practical example of the method. We put you by yourself. We trusted normal prison officers with you. Last all you watch you. You can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do the other, you can't do the other, which is exactly the ADX formula.
Yeah, but remember,
yes,
our problem here is the people. So if prison officers are corrupt there, then they will have that same problem.
Wait. We're going down now. Second tier. The people who have to be incarcerated. For real. The people who may be sentenced to 5 years plus. Maybe hard labor, maybe not hard labor, whatever the case is. They are in this prison experience. And some of these people may not necessarily be bad people. They may have fallen afoul of the law. They may have committed a crime. But maybe their situation does not warrant full control. Or maybe somebody who is in full control has deported themselves so well and done so much within that system that we need to move them out of the highly restrictive units and put them down into a different kind of experience. And this is where I tell you the difference is. When your prison stops becoming...
Hold your thought for a while. Let me take this call. Good evening, caller.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Okay, let me deal with the guy in Tetron that you refused to call his name first, and then I will get to the reason why this El Salvador model work in the way that it works. Now, there is a challenge with just having people collecting dust, and you're not bringing them, so the court can make a decision on if they are guilty or innocent. Because a threshold must be established, right? That is the reason for the courts, so that it cannot be left up to any individual to just make a determination or based on whatever assumption or fact that this is your fate.
I agree with you 100%, the caller. 100%.
Rod, I can see a spike.
100% caller. I deal with you. I agree with you.
I recommend you to change your decision. You're on the screen, Rod.
Coming to clearly? Right. The thing about the El Salvador model that make it work so nicely is that the power that was given to everyone was not limited to just the civilians being able to carry out that power on their fellow civilians. They could have carried it out on people who are in the protective services if they determined that they were also a part of criminal activity. That is the reason why. It because like it became like everybody had the powers of policing, right? So
you're talking about the Philippines.
It wasn't left up to the police to deal with the police if the police were found in untoward activity. The citizenry had that privilege also. So you see, in a case where what we saw as it relates to how the police officers carried out their actions with Joshua Samaru and Kaya Sili, it wouldn't be left up to the commissioner to make a determination that doesn't line up in no way with what was seen on the video. That is one of the reasons that it was so effective, where a spade could have been identified as a spade by any and everybody, even if the people who are the law enforcement couldn't see it or didn't want to call it out. The citizens had the power to treat with the matter. I believe that is why it has been so effective. And the thing is, what is lacking here in Trinidad is the will of the men and women that actually have the power to make the change to do so, right? Because, and let me move on just a little bit to this Brian Manning issue. I listened to some of his comments, I listened to the comments of Alexander. And both of them have me worried and wondering if we truly understand what is being done to us by the politicians of this nation. If Brian Manning is making these allegations, he needs to forward some sort of things to the police. And Mr. Alexander, when he is saying that they won't tell the police how to operate and all of that, we have heard on numerous occasions where politicians come out and make statements about people facing the full brunt of the law and asking for the police to investigate. And the police themselves made a statement that no report or nothing has been brought to them. They don't have to wait for that. Things are already in the public domain and they could initiate an investigation. An investigation being launched or taken up by the police service does not mean that it will bear fruit, you understand? But based on what is already existing in the public domain, that is grounds for police action. But we continue to see inaction of the police only when it is down to the nitty-gritty. Sometimes then they choose to get involved in these matters. They should have already been on top of this in the same way that they're on top of Balize House and asking them to explain how they amassed the wealth to get that building of theirs. Thanks for allowing me. I look forward to listening.
Yeah. You were saying, Gerald.
Yeah. So, when we're in this mid-tier, if the commitment is to the rehabilitation of people, why they can't buy cigarettes in the commercial area if that's what they need? Yeah? If they suffering from withdrawal because they smoke weed every day of their life and all of a sudden now they can't get weed, why it is they can't talk to a doctor about it? Why doctor can't prescribe it? Listen, he can get 2 joints a week because we decriminalize, right? Yeah? Why it is people cannot have...
So you know, open up a market for legal marijuana.
Definitely. Why it is a man can't get a visit from his girl and his children? Get a little jam and spend a little time with the family and wherever the case is.
You remember?
On an occasional basis.
Remember this former judge, by what was his name again, by? Deceased.
Which one?
He was a minister.
Yeah. Volney?
Volney.
Yeah.
Remember he had said that he wanted to introduce something like that?
Yeah.
In prison, your wife come and visit you, or your girlfriend come and visit you.
Because let me share something, a perspective. Now, a gentleman that I deal with, I'm a pretty productive member of society, ran afoul of the law fairly recently. And in running afoul of the law, he would have ended up being charged, he would have ended up fairly serious charges, and he would have managed to secure bail in the general sense. He's out. Probably going to be the case. But that's not the point I'm making today. You as somebody who's arrested, your employment is immediately disrupted. Whatever money I have saved or whatever money I have access to now goes into bail and lawyer and whatever the case is, if you could access those things. So far, that gentleman is well over $100,000 in legal fees and bail. Yeah, that particular gentleman had the wherewithal to find some of those things. Many people don't. If I catch a case now and you tell me I got to find $100,000 to get out of jail, partners, I probably will still be in jail. Me personally.
Me too.
You too?
Yeah.
Yes. So this is the reality of I am accused of a crime. You are rich, caught yet, and your life has essentially been upended. And then while the court and the police and everybody is trying to figure out what to do with you, you're losing your job, your girl, your wife, your children.
You don't lose your girl a long time.
Yeah? So you are now in a position where, on the other end of this experience, right, wrong, or indifferent, your life is essentially destroyed. Now,
yeah, but some people will say, well, you should have known that before you commit crime.
But those people, that anybody will say that, but you're innocent until you're proven guilty. So is the presumption of innocence valid when a man spending 14 years on remand? And sometimes men spending 14 years on remand because it's 14 years the police say come to court. These are very real situations. And while we in that quagmire, the system is milking. Whether it's the attorney, whether it's the prison officer selling cigarettes, whether it's amalgamated carry the people to court or not.
Right, so you're saying that, but how different is that?
Yes.
From the system where I was proposing before, where you privatize the prison and you have these people who work for private people, build things, become productive people, learn to assemble cars or learn to assemble some kind of machine or something in some factory, of a prison factory, you have these things. You reduce inflation.
Yeah.
Right, because the price of them things cheaper, and that you provide monies for not retribution, to pay back the people who you restitution. You also provide income for the state and taxes, and you have a thriving business. So you now have business now. What's wrong with a system like that?
No, and nothing's wrong with the system. In fact, I support it. But what we're talking about here is the why. So if the why is punishment, then we punishing you so we can't let you buy no cigarettes. We punishing you so we can't let you spend no time with your family and maintain your family life.
Let me take this call. Good evening, Bataria.
Good evening, Mr. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Yeah, afternoon.
So if I go along with the gentleman, with citizen program. Now, if you lock me up, you give me 5 years, but you want me to go and fix that? That's double punishment. So you going to benefit off of my incarceration?
No, yes.
But that's what America tried.
Slavery.
That's what America been tried that from since the 60s. That's how we had cotton plantation after slavery, you know.
New slavery.
After slavery, and they lock up black people, and they lock up so-called Mexicans. They make prisons privatized, and the same prisons take the same men and send them back to pick cotton. No, Mr. Matterson. Who is going to be the motor car company in Trinidad and Tobago going and sign on to that? Not in this. We're in 2026, Mr. Matterson. I am done given 3 years incarceration. Whether they want to permit don't care what they tell me, I am supposed to lie down and they give me 3 square meals a day. That's not my fault.
Really?
As you just outlined, I should have known what I was getting into. So you want to punish me twice?
No, but you punishing us because we had to.
How am I punishing you?
We had to pay for that meal. We had to pay for everything you get.
Well, I understand all of that, but again, if you'd catch me from small and didn't take away the farming program from me, I might have been a farmer.
So, and Kola is so glad for this contribution that you're making here.
So it ends up back down to you because you didn't help the parents do their work. Because in the school, from primary school, if the teachers who acted for more salary realize that they were going on, I have 50 students in my class and only 5 of them could pass common entrance, she's supposed to keep back the 45. And don't send them up the road to make herself look good. Because them is the people who coming back, because if they can't progress in society, they are roped in and everywhere. What do you call them? They become what? They have a new phrase. Statistics of the society. So how do we change?
Kola, can I ask you a question?
Of course you can.
So, let's say now you are indeed one of those prisoners, just putting yourself in the role. As far as you're concerned, you're supposed to breeze out while you're incarcerated.
I'm in the Hyatt.
Huh? You're in the Hyatt?
I'm in the Hyatt.
Lovely. But I give you a choice. You could breeze out in the Hyatt. Or, now we're going to Norway here, the place where we always say it can't work there, right? Because you know what? In Norway, prisoners who are committed to rehabilitation, they make the jail from Monday to Friday. And within the jail environment, they are applying themselves to trade. They are applying themselves to art. They are applying themselves to literature. They are not gunmen on a wall. Because these gentlemen are in a camp setting, restricted, not able to go and do whatever the case is. But you know what, on a weekend, you go home and you meet your wife.
Okay.
You get a home cooked meal.
Right.
You spend time with your children.
And
when you're incarcerated, when you go back to the camp, you have to go back Monday. And you know what? If you're not going back, and we will find you, as I always tell people, Oslo PD don't play. I know this personally.
Right.
If it is you decide you want to be troublesome, it have an next jail for you, you know.
Of course. Well, you see, that is where the court system comes into play. That is where the state, that I tell Mr. Matterson, if you want to charge me for not moving with my ID card, I in a car going on the road and you stop the driver for some drive and you want to charge me because you actually was my name and you don't find, it comes back to the same thing. If the judge, I go before the judge, I have a choice. The judge must give me a choice. I give you 5 years. Or you spend 3 years in this place doing so and so, XYZ, and I will reduce your sentence by 2 years. That's how it does work. But first, you have to put the trade school in place for me. So it all comes back down to the state.
It absolutely comes down to the state.
But all the time. So we could talk all that talk. Yeah. Anytime. Look, right, just recently I have a female prison officer. Just a few weeks ago, less than 2 weeks, they hold a male. Like something wrong when she see this, she has a female decide, well, I don't know, she female intuition go get she inside. She get hold. So how are you going to change all of that when the people that we are supposed to do racism to these same people doing the same thing that you just said? Supply this cigarette because the state decide that they're not supplying the man cigarette because they know you're an addiction. So somebody find a way to eat our food. So until the average person, the average citizen of Trinidad and Tobago don't stop looking after themselves and look after the interests of the job or the people that they put in charge, we ain't gonna go nowhere. We could talk. We've been talking this talk. What you talking about it for 30 years? Tell Alexander just jump up and tell we what going on. I'm going on make prisoners what? Those who on what do you call it? Hard labor. You going and put them on the road to work. How are you doing that? That thing called human rights.
Nobody's system can be designed. And this is
but before you talk that talk, you have to go to the parliament to do that.
Mr. Bata, you always say that's something called human rights?
Yeah.
So them wasn't thinking about human rights of the people when they was doing what they was doing to get
well, then you should ask Ramesh that because Ramesh had a man inside for how many years appealing for him not to get murdered. He was the biggest human rights. Now I tell you, in Trinidad and Tobago, a criminal lawyer cannot be a politician because they do not make laws to lock up the same people that they were just defending 6 months ago, Mr. Matterson. I keep telling you that is our problem in Trinidad and Tobago. Too many so-called criminal lawyers find themselves in the parliament. And when they find themselves in the parliament, they create wrong stand-up depends on who is the government in charge in order that they could benefit. I mean, if I come to court 9,000 times and every time I come I get 200 hours, don't talk about who could pay 5,000. How much money you making? Because I want to stop that. Do I want to stop the changing of the judiciary and make it? You just sit down right here and watch TV and see a judge on YouTube. I forget his or her name. There are about 3 of them. People walk in the court. Judge try the matter in less than 15 minutes sometimes. A judge trying a man matter in less than 15 minutes in a civil court. Right now, all these civil matter who was supposed to go before and the DPP, all of a sudden, this government take it over. So I have a few civil matters against LMBD and the former Attorney General. I wonder what this present Attorney General doing about that.
The civil matter going before the DPP, you say?
Well, I think that used to go civil. Well, let me put it this way.
No. You're mixing it up.
All right, so let me hear how it goes. But I don't know, point me out in the direction. Because I want to know why does it take it from the Commissioner of Police and put it back in the DPP and the Attorney General hand when the same people was making noise on the PNM and the PNM put it where it's supposed to go. So the state stays away from, if they want to lock up the Prime Minister and he's the Prime Minister in charge, the police could lock you up without you knowing.
But apparently now it ain't so anymore. Why, Mr. Matterson? Will you explain to me where tell me I think I went wrong, you know?
You go ahead, no man, I'm listening to you.
I have a group of people, Mr. Matterson, are hypocrites. That is why we cannot go anywhere. They tell me things are going to get better, going to pay public servant 10%, then you come, all of a sudden you come into office, you tell me where it was left with. Where it was left with was outlined that we have no money. If the public servant make noise for 10%, or they will lose all their job, then tell them no. And now we hemming and weighing and scraping here and there. But I see right now in Arangua, a man come, they have a drain cleaning by the highway as you pass Dan Bazaar. I want to ask Khadija how much money that costing. Because long ago, a man used to come with an excavator, make a thing it and gone. I see pump truck for the past weeks this weekend, them day. You know my $1,000 that costing me, Mr. Matterson? To clear a simple drain over the highway where you could run a chain, straight back, get a rope, get a piece of thing and run it straight back across the highway, tire onto it and pull everything out on the next side. Then bring a pump truck to pump out what? As a taxi driver, I could tell them that what they're doing ain't making no sense, costing the state over $1,000. Simple. Send a piece of rope down the drain, tie something on it and pull everything out. And, but way to find to eat our food. And when they're done, they want to blame the other side, but you know something? Another jam on my opposition leader. I hear somebody asking, she questions me, you know what? And she spin the whole thing all around. Madam Opposition Leader, I feel you need to get yours act and all together too, eh? Because the amount of things going on here, and I'm not hearing your voice boisterous, especially about that thing I just outlined with the Attorney General end up with civil matter or more or less back in. We should be pounding the pavement whether or not we are allowed to make noise to find out if the Attorney General is stopping the investigation with the past Attorney General and the man who in charge of NGC right now. Because two of them are matters before the court. You know? I have a former Attorney General, Mr. Matterson, and up to now you as a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago ain't saying what they did was wrong. Pardon, how you think crime could go to the man sit down next to Mr. Matterson? Think about this. I have a former Attorney General have a matter before the state of Trinidad and Tobago for fraud. Right? And up comes the government that was in office that he did that alleged matter under. Come back into government and give he a job to defend the state. That makes sense to you, sir?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense to me.
Eat our food, eh? That do any sense, eh?
No, I
when UNC win, everybody winning. That what you were talking about.
I didn't say.
If the man was charged with something and he did it.
Or innocent until proven guilty. But the same people, when Mr. Dr. Rowley had Miss Marlene MacDonald, every time she sits in the parliament, it's Marlene. I have a minister of housing afraid to talk. You don't even hear him. Philip Alexander like he's in charge of the ministry. Because why? He on bail for 1 point something billion, so he's afraid to talk. But if it was anybody else, you'd have been hearing, what is his name? I'm going to forget his name. Minister of Housing had to go. But you don't hear nobody calling on him, you know. There's nothing about integrity again in this country, Mr. Matterson.
Kind sir, if I may.
Yes, sir.
What you are speaking about here is politics, of which
no.
Sir, hear me out. Of which has a morality all its own. Rest in peace, Bazio Pandey. So what I would
I don't believe in that.
What I would tell you, sir,
that restrict Mr. Pandey show then, I don't believe in that.
That's okay. So what
you ever go on? At the end of the day,
yes,
right is right, wrong. Because you are one simple example of morality, politics are a morality of his own, and just simply watch Trump and realize he has none. So if you try to apply that here, then what you tell me, my present administration in office ain't none at all neither.
What I am telling you, sir, is pointing out the vagaries of politics. When we are trying
I understand that, you know.
When we are trying
and I'm also pointing out how hypocritical it is as politicians to hoodwink the population either with that stupid or they see us as that stupid. Because technically what they did, again, and I keep outlining, is the first time, the other thing called data analytica, when named Christopher Wiley, it is the same book. All this is coming from a hymn book, playing out on Trinbagonians. It is the same, if you look at it, it is the same Trump story. Exactly what you're playing off here. You just look a few days after and you will see the very same thing is going on here. Look how much people get fired by NGC just recently. But you know, they can't tell me why that one get fired by a man get fired by the self-help. They give me 7 reasons why he get fired. But the man they hired by under Ramdeen, what he get fired for? Because George Young saying it's corruption. They may tell me why he leave the work.
Mr. Barataria, my question to you is, assuming everything you're saying is true, assuming, what's the point of talking about it here, right now?
To inform the citizens.
The citizens know. And
No, they don't know.
They know and they form their own opinions.
No, they are going on. They form. That is, let me tell you, that is why you here, you know. That is why you are Mr. Matterson here. You two gentlemen are here playing cricket. I ain't playing cricket. I not playing that. I playing with the lives of the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. They say no cricket match. They say no 6 runs or anybody catch no ball. That when we done, we go in and drink and everybody happy. No, I have 50,000 people just lost the job. I have, what is name, Hilton Hotel, about to go home.
Outside.
Anyhow, I'm hearing something else, gentlemen. Do enjoy the rest of your afternoon. So we ain't playing no cricket here. We playing the future of Trinidad. Where are we going to be in 2030?
Serious cricket.
Well, I ain't see a Brian Lara on the next side yet. And I'm trying to create a Ramdeen, what is Guyanese the name? On the PNM side, I ain't understand what's going on yet.
This is 2026, this gentleman campaigning like it's 2030.
All right, but caller, let's take another call.
Of course, sorry about that. Enjoy your evening, gentlemen.
Yeah, but we were trying to solve a problem.
Yes.
Let me take this call.
Yes.
Caller, good evening.
Yes, good afternoon again, gentlemen. Barataria, you waste a lot of your time.
Yeah.
And let me point out, almost 90% of what you said, Barataria, the PNM is guilty of it. They have criminal lawyers on their side in the parliament. When they went into power, they pulled civil matters out of the court that was in the court, right? They are guilty of a number of things that you outlined. So how do you find yourself as this huge supporter of them? Why not take the position that I take, where I continue to call a spade, whether it is under the PNM or the UNC? And as it relates to the suggestion by the panel about the prison, it is optional if you want to engage in constructive activity, and you would be rewarded for it. That is the type of system that they're trying to put in place. If you choose not to engage in that activity, when you finish your sentence, and are they in still?
Yeah, we are in your phone.
Somebody thinking about you, man. That's good.
If you choose not to engage in productive activity, when you finish serve your sentence, right, with all the civil rights talk you're talking about, if you don't have your own business or whatever running, you would have to look for employment. And part of the fact that you choose not to engage in productive activity will probably be one of the deterrent for people wanting to hire you. So it's all about trying to engage the mental aspect of the human being while they're serving out the sentence in hope that they would make a change. All of us have done things that we probably not proud of. You understand? But the thing is, many of us are here today because of second chances and a number of things, and we choose to not engage in certain activity or run afoul of the law. But I'm saying, Barataria, how can you outline all of these things and not be able to see it when it happens under the PNM? That is the number one challenge Trinidad and Tobago continues to face. Okay. Fanatics, diehard supporters, whatever party Trinidad, and the politicians will continue to win. That is the reason why they will laugh and say they raise gas so many times and people in riot yet. They will increase their salaries at a time when they're talking doom and gloom.
Okay, Chris, thanks. You know, we talking about prisons, and we talking about prisons reform, and we talking about solving some of the challenges we have in the prison service, right? And the thesis we put before the pavilion this evening has to do with solving the problem through privatization. Now, all of us may have different.
Absolutely,
all of us may have different ideas of it and how it could happen, how it could work. But this is what we want to hear. We want to hear: is this a valid or a valuable way to solve the problem? Absolutely. If you could solve the problem this way, right? And on both sides, there may be pros and there may be cons. And the kind of society we live in, we know it could have serious implications doing that. It could have other kind of problems in the system, right? If it is not done properly, if it is not managed properly, you could have abuse. You could have people getting off in a system like that in a certain kind of way because of corruption and that kind of thing, because we live in an inherently corrupt space, society.
And it's not so much as it's inherently corrupt, it's that it's small and everybody knows everybody.
Well,
that's
why it shouldn't be corrupt. But anyway, we just live in a very corrupt society.
Yeah.
Right? But the thing is, it is not difficult to understand what we are proposing. This is not something the government has proposed. They have proposed elements of it. But clearly, if you study this thing properly, I think you can get a hybrid system where you can privatize the prison service system, reduce the amount of money you're spending, save more people who go into the system. And I say save more people, build them, develop them in certain kind of ways, and certainly eradicate this problem that we have in with where the program started with this evening.
The eradication of that problem has to start with a change in philosophy. And once you change that philosophy, you can absolutely use a private sector actor to at least get the ball rolling. The argument is going to be for many, because many quarters of our country are anti-privatization.
Who is that person? And hey, bring a U.S. company then if you have a problem with, or a Swedish company or something.
The argument is going to continue to be the same, and I mean, because we are both connected.
Or even the Chinese.
We both connected to labor. So the cry of the union will be that privatization is not pro-worker.
You could have a prisoners union if you want 4 months.
I'm sure they're going to have one.
Yeah, but that wouldn't be necessary, and I've seen that being a possibility anyway, because that's just nonsensical to even think of.
But the answer is not even about the prisoners and their rights, but how even the country will view government employees who are prison officers and prison administrators becoming private sector employees.
Well, you don't have to. You can pay them off and let them go home. And if they want to apply for a job, if they know anything about correctional facilities, apply and get a job in the private sector to be paid to do certain things.
This is politically. This is people on the street. This is
let's take KFC. He calling a while now. KFC, I see you trying to get him more than an hour now. Talk to us.
Good afternoon, Marcus and Gerard.
Yeah, good afternoon.
I said there was a paper he campaign in local elections next year.
Who?
That's what once you come to talk about this and that one. The both sides have criminal laws sitting in Parliament. But we talk about prison, but in prison, Marcusson, if we have no cigarette in jail, every day we are chopping up in jail. People are less cigarette to ease the frustration.
But do you know there are other things people could ease the frustration with? And do you know you don't have to smoke cigarettes? Do you know you have other things you could ease your frustration with? And do you know you don't have to smoke cigarettes? Do you know you have ways to wean people off cigarette? Do you know that?
Yeah.
Right.
It have all kind. It have real programs in jail.
Right. So if it have
It have
all
men
that,
going in jail who can't read, who can't write, and they come out. They come out with passes.
We ain't talking about that. We ain't talking about that. You just raised a question about making a case for people to continue smoking. And I'm saying, if you're in prison, I'm saying there are things there are different things, patch and all kind of different things you could use to wean yourself off a cigarette.
You know the young people don't smoke again? They just take the pods and they spit it on the gum.
Mm-hmm.
You know that? Like between 20 and
Yeah, you know.
Especially internationally, they don't smoke again.
You look up in jail 15, 14 years on that in Raymond Yard. You ain't getting a chance to go to court.
That is if there is not something else. We talking about solving the problem. That one the problem we want to solve. So
you want to bring programs in the prison and different things in the prison then?
We looking at rehabilitation. We looking at making prisons profitable, because right now the government spending $21,000 plus for every prisoner every month. That's plenty money. We could be doing something else in Trinidad with, you know. So let's take this next call. Good evening, caller. Caller, good evening. Good evening.
Yeah, man, I was listening to the program earlier, and I recognize that we're still on the topic, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right, so I was actually paying attention to international news, and I saw the story on Ecuador, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right, and I did an escaping gang.
Right, that's Ecuador. That's Ecuador, yeah.
Ecuador, right. Well handled. And any other case similar to that, well handled. I think that there was one of the callers prior who said, call a state where we have legal representation for people who do criminal activity from both sides of the fence. People who are on both red and yellow side. They serve in Parliament, they understand legislation, understand the arms of the law, they understand the system well. And they have the means, they have the technology, we have the data, we have the surveillance to do something serious, to make a serious move, to take that case, because we're small enough, to make a major change and then crime. Now, crime started at the lowest level of society, or the most basic level of society, when there's fallout, and there's no remedy to that fallout. People progress and end up always get up in a place where it's hard to salvage, the mindset and get that person back on track. So you can't say totally turn into the government for a turnaround, but if a drastic move is made, then we could save that money, reinvest that money in other things, in programs that will actually help young people, help at-risk people, make a right about it in their life. I totally agree with all the points that have been made. And if there's any way that society can get together, at least the right thinking ones like myself, to lobby to get this done, you'll be on board.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Contribution. You're saying.
Good contribution. We have to take the politics out of it, and we cannot be emotional about the money. However, you are absolutely correct that there are paths towards a self-sustaining prison system. And also a prison system that serves a vital social function.
Thank you.
There's absolutely a part of it, and the problem is that I do not think the public service is nimble or agile enough to make those changes on its own.
Yeah, take them out of the equation. Privatize the prisons and give them the responsibility. And it's not hard to do that.
And you could always change a vendor.
Exactly. Give them the responsibility and it may not exist in Trinidad, but there are places all over the world that understand how to do them things. Give them the resources and they'll do it.
It's a multi-billion-dollar organizations that their only job in the world is to run prisons.
Exactly.
Everywhere in the world.
Exactly.
They have it down to a science. How you want it?
A science. They have it down to a science. You tell us what you want and we will do that.
Correct.
Give us the resources, give us the land, give us the whatever. Let me build a factory, let me build whatever. And we will make money for you. We will make money for the prisoners. And we will...
It's called prison industry.
We will rehabilitate the people.
Tell me how things change when a man could work in a prison factory for 7 years have a minimum amount of money to go in the commissary and buy this and that he needs. And when he's released with 7 years of savings.
Exactly. And he could smoke his cigarette, he could smoke all the cigarette he want.
He mightn't want to smoke cigarette again.
Correct.
He has some cash in hand for his thing. He has some transferable skills. He has some leadership skills. He has some industrial skills.
Gerard, that solution.
Yeah. You put them in a different place, and all along the while, if it is he was behaving himself well, he probably could have spent some time with the family once a month. He probably could have helped the managing the situation like, okay, this person making, let me say the person making $4,000 a month. They pay nobody no princely wage in a prison factory. But a man could send a $2,000 home, save $1,000 and you have $1,000 to spend. Wife will come and see him once a month, hug up each other, whatever.
I don't think, well, again, different configuration. You commit crime, you shouldn't get that kind of glorification. And I say should be looking free.
I think for ourselves, for ourselves as a society, you want to create situations where the people who can be rehabilitated.
Because then you want to go in prison to get a work. If you're saying you can't work outside, you're getting work. And you're getting that and you're getting pay inside, you want to commit crime to go inside it to work. Think about it.
But I think that's a very minority situation. Nobody wants their freedom taken. So our thing now is there are people who out for crime. And I say, hit them all, Salvador. The men who out for crime, the men who out for badness, we have playbooks on how to deal with them.
Or Ecuador.
Hit them at Ecuador. Hit them at ADX Florence. Hit them at Alcatraz. It are models for breaking the bad boys that work. And that you can argue with. They can argue with, nobody can argue with. Look, right now, they're working on a man in Tetron. I call his name. I don't know who he is. But he can make a note there. No visitor, no this, no that, the other. Lawyer under certain restrictions. They know how to do it. We can learn how to do it. But there are another class of criminal. Man making 10 years for possession of cocaine for the purpose of trafficking. You hold a man in a corner with a block of weed.
Them people could be rehabilitated.
Absolutely. And you know what? Simple thing. You're driving with no license and the magistrate say, but yeah, what's going on? You have to take a 18 months now. That man have no right to be in the prison.
Correct.
Yeah? Get your license, community service, house arrest. And I don't want the kind of house arrest where you're disrupting economic output. Tell me where you're working, brother. You go to work and you go straight home. Electronic monitoring, checking this whatever the technology there for it.
Anytime you screw up there,
yeah.
inside.
If you mean you must make a jail, no problem. We'll accommodate you.
We will help you.
We will help you.
We will sell it to somebody, a private.
Correct. We have that place for you. But in the meantime, our whole thing is, and you know, you don't want to create situations where men can work, a man can get visa and this and that and the other. Simple thing like making sure criminal records still after a particular time.
We're creating a revolving door situation.
Correct.
For
what else you could do?
For people, bad people in Trinidad and Tobago. By the very nature of our system.
Yes.
You come out, you can't get no work again, you record, but all kind of madness. When really and truly we could be profiting from the system in a different kind of way.
Every human being that we cripple is a human being we have to mind, one way or the other.
Correct.
So if we rethink it, and we're going to have all kind, because the objections or the comments that have come through the phone, thank you everybody for your contribution, have all been political objections. And I start the conversation by saying, what? This is first and foremost a political problem. Because if
some people can't see past the politics, by the way, they aren't able to see past the hatred they have for the PNM or the hatred they have for the UNC. That's why this show is a cricket show. Because we look at both sides. We look at our debate and we analyze the whole thing. So at the end of the day, we know that there will be people who will be on the feeling side, and we know there will be people who's on the batting side. But we really want to hear you tell us how we umpire the game.
And we're trying to umpire the game, because the only way anything will change.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, for those who listen to us regularly, share the live so we could have more people listening to us. We could have more people giving us solutions. And clearly, the cricket show, the show will be better. The thing is, because we need, this show is about you. We need to hear what you have to say, and we need you to help us solve the problem, because certainly we have a lot of problems. If you read the newspapers, you will see we have a problem, and we're not saying that what we see here might be the absolute panacea to solve problems and that kind of thing, but there are solutions for some of the things that happens out here, and clearly we provide some of them here, right? So today was not just a good show, but today we were able to look at the prison system. I think we want more time for this particular topic, because there are a lot of things we could certainly suggest. I really wanted to hear in the first hour or the second hour what was your what you had to say, you the pavilion had to say about this particular situation, because this is something that affects Trinidad and Tobago in ways that
it's the single greatest driver of us having a society that we prefer not to live in.
Yes.
The problem is not the police, the problem is the prison. And the prison non-functionalness drives everything wrong with Trinidad and Tobago. Think of anything else that causes any problem.
Because if we have people miscreants and we have people causing problems, clearly, yes, you will have that, and you would always have that kind of thing. But if we could solve the problem after that, we'd have done good for Trinidad and Tobago.
Indeed.
Right? And, you know, I don't know. But ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of the show today. We just have a few seconds. We'd like to say...
It's time to go for tea?
Yeah, it's time to take a break.
Yes.
Tomorrow we will come back on this test game. And certainly we wish you all the best tonight.
Godspeed. Good night, everybody.
Yeah. Good night. Safe journey home also.
You've got bills to pay. And so do we. Let's go pay some bills on the street 919 FM.
Dragged on, excellent length, a little bit of
Are you tired of scratching the surface? Do you want to understand the real forces shaping Trinidad and Tobago? From the delicate dance of our energy sector on the global stage, to the geopolitical shadows behind the crime affecting our streets, we dig deeper. The third umpire goes beyond the headlines.
Rod, I can see a spike as the ball passed the bat.
We connect the dots between local challenges and the international currents that truly impact your life.
I recommend you to change your decision. You're on the screen, Rod.
Your wallet, your security.
Oh, what's going on?
Join Stephen Matheson, Selvin Mitchell, and Ronaldo Rollux, 3 employment law and human resource management consulting professionals, as they unpack the complexities.
He has bowled that from so far behind the umpire. That is the furthest